Jessica Pegula just beat Iga Świątek, and after the match she said something that changed the whole story of this tournament. She said she wants to play the final against Coco Gauff, not against anyone else. She wants Coco. Win or lose, she called it special. That single line turned a normal quarterfinal win into one of the biggest storylines in American tennis this year. The match itself was chaos. Pegula called it a crazy match. The wind was strong and the conditions felt strange all day. Both players had moments where they played great tennis and moments where nothing worked. Pegula grabbed the first set. Swiatek clawed back the second. Then, the third set turned into a real battle. At one point, Pegula was down 1-3. Most players lose focus in that spot. She didn't. She said she stayed locked on her game plan no matter what was happening around her. That win was also her 300th tour-level victory in her career. A number like that doesn't come easy. It takes years of consistency. And consistency is the exact word that keeps following her name. But this win almost didn't happen. Just one round before, in her quarterfinal match against Amanda Anisimova, Pegula strained something in the middle of the match. She had no idea how bad it was. That night and the next morning it felt better, so she made a smart choice. She skipped practice completely on her day off. No hitting, no drills, nothing. She just rested. When she walked out for the next match, she said she felt nothing at all. The injury that scared her a day earlier didn't bother her once during the entire 3-hour battle with Swiatek. That single day off may have saved her tournament. Remember that day off, because it becomes important again in a few seconds. Inside that same third set, there was one point that stood out above everything else. Pegula was pulled all over the court, running side to side with barely any time to recover. She said she was in trouble in that rally, but instead of playing it safe, she trusted her legs and looked for the line. She saw a small gap and went for a forehand winner down the line. The moment the ball left her racket, she already knew it was a winner. That point brought her back from 1-3 all the way to 3 all in the third set. She called it one of the best points of her entire year. It also gave her the crowd and the momentum for the rest of the match. People often talk about Pegula's technical skills, her hand-eye timing, her footwork. But she says the thing she is most proud of is different. It's her consistency. She has not won a Grand Slam title yet, and she knows people bring that up. But she shared something a reporter once told her that changed how she sees her own career. The reporter said getting hot for 2 weeks and winning one slam can happen to almost anyone. But performing at a high level day after day, carrying that pressure across an entire season, takes something rare. That idea stuck with her. She has been a top-level player for 5 years now, and she openly admits she never expected to become this version of herself. Early in her career, she wasn't consistent at all. She had to build that part of her game from nothing. Now it's one of her biggest weapons. Even her comments about the championship trophy show her personality. The trophy is made by a company called Rookwood Pottery. She already owns the runner-up version from a previous year. She joked that some of the tournaments she has actually won gave her strange-looking trophies. She said this one is different. She loves the colors and called it beautiful. She wants the winner's version this time, not another runner-up piece for her shelf. Alexei Ila just won the biggest title of her career, and the strange part is, Jessica Pegula basically predicted every single way it would happen. Before their DC Open 2026 final, Pegula sat down and explained exactly why Ila's serve is so hard to play against, exactly why the crowd would be a factor, and exactly why she was walking into a different opponent than the one she beat back in Miami. Then she went out and lost anyway. This is the story of how Pegula called her own defeat. Let's rewind to Miami first, because that match matters. Pegula beat Iala there, but she admitted afterward that she walked into that match completely blind. She had no idea how Iala served, no idea what the spin looked like coming off a lefty racket, nothing to prepare for. She won anyway. But months later, sitting in DC before the rematch, Pegula made it clear this time was different. She'd been watching Iala's rise ever since Miami, tracking her wins over players like Naomi Osaka and Leylah Fernandez. And she openly admitted Iala had gotten better, more experienced, more dangerous, knowing the opponent didn't save her. Here's the part that makes this so fascinating. Pegula literally broke down, in her own words, why Ila's serve is nearly impossible to punish, even though it's one of the slowest serves on the entire WTA Tour. We're talking serve speeds in the 60s and 70s, numbers that would get most players torched at the net. But Pegula explained that because Ella is left-handed, the ball comes in from an angle nobody's used to seeing. And because the serve stays so low, it sits below net height by the time it reaches you. That forces the returner to hit upward on a ball that's already dying, and there's almost no room to do anything aggressive with it. Pegula even said she wasn't sure whether to go for broke on the return and risk giving away free points, or just play it safe and treat the point as starting from scratch. That hesitation, that exact uncertainty, is what showed up on court in the final. Then there's the crowd, which Pegula also flagged before it even happened. She told a story about playing Ila in Miami before anyone really knew who Ila was, and being stunned that a wall of fans had shown up specifically for her, so loud she could hear it from her hotel room. Pegula guessed the Philippines fan turnout in DC would be even bigger than Miami, and she was right. By final day, it wasn't just a Monday final on short notice, it was one of the loudest atmospheres of the week, and Ala fed off every bit of it. Now here's where the prediction turns into the result. The match itself split into two completely different halves, separated by a rain delay that forced the final to be paused and restarted. In the first phase, Ala was making unforced error after unforced error, rushing shots she didn't need to rush. But something happened during that rain delay. Analysts pointed to it as a reset moment, time to sit down with her coach and completely recalibrate, and when the match resumed, an entirely different version of Ila showed up, patient, picking her spots, letting rallies develop instead of forcing winners. The turning point everyone's talking about happened in the second set, with the score at 4-5, 30 all on Pegula's serve. Pegula had been leaning on a wide slice serve out to the corner all match, and it hadn't been landing cleanly. Ala sensed it coming. On a first serve, at a huge point, she crept inside the baseline before the toss even happened, gambling that the same serve was coming again. It did. She stepped in, cut it off early, and ripped a backhand cross-court winner that Pegula couldn't handle. That single point flipped the entire match, and Ala closed out the set right after. Alex Ala walked through the toughest draw of her career and became the first player from the Philippines to ever win a double E singles title. This isn't hype, this is the real-time rise of a superstar, and the entire tennis world stopped to react. Let's talk about who she beat, because this wasn't a lucky run. In the first round, she took down the Olympic champion, Qinwen Zheng. In the second round, she knocked out the defending champion, Leylah Fernandez. Then she beat Naomi Osaka, a four-time major champion, and followed that up by eliminating the world No. 1 seed on her way to the final. 3 top seeds gone in a single week. Analysts on the desk called it exactly what it was. She absorbed the power from big hitters like Zhang and Osaka and turned it right back against them, with a return game that's become, in their words, absolutely deadly. Then came the final against Jessica Pegula, and this is where the story gets wild. Pegula came out sharp and took the first set 6-4. Ala clawed back into the second set, winning it on serve, and then the rain hit. Play was suspended. The match got frozen mid-second set, and both players had to walk off, go to bed, and come back the next day to finish at a final that literally spanned 24 hours across 2 separate days. When they resumed, something had shifted. Pegula, who had just 20 unforced errors before the delay, came back out and racked up 30 unforced errors after it, wildly uncharacteristic for a player with her experience. Meanwhile, Ala just got bolder. Analysts described her as fearless, aggressive early in points, cranking up the miles per hour on her forehand, and she closed it out by taking the third set 6-1 to win her first career WTA title. Think about what that means for Pegula too.